It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. Today is the day that many of you love the most. Clark Stinks Day.
Clarkies love the most.
Clarkies love the most? Okay. Also, it's Friday, and as you know, I love my weekends. So Friday, I'm always kind of amped up. I'm always joyous because the weekend's straight ahead. And I'm joyous about Clark Stinks because I love learning from my mistakes. And also later in this podcast and YouTube show, I'm going to give you some new guidance for booking travel with the conditions of the airline industry going through a huge shift right now as a result of what's happened with the cost of jet fuel. I'm going to tell you how you can protect your wallet. But right now, it's time to hear how much I'm stinking it up.
I should have never encouraged you to speak.
You must think I'm pretty stupid.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're right, pal.
Oh, the behind the scenes on the Clark Howard Show.
How can this actually be Clark Stinks when the YouTube viewers did not get to see you dance? Every time that song plays, you dance.
Yeah. Okay.
And
how about you?
Stand here.
Yeah, you need to dance.
I will never dance ever. And you know what you want to hear less than see me dance? Hear me sing.
Oh, me too.
Oh, it's dangerous to hear me sing. I feel so badly anytime I call somebody to wish them happy birthday and I start singing and I'm like, oh man, I'm hurting their ears.
Yeah, that's one gift I wish I had. If I had a singing voice, oh my gosh, I'd be so grateful.
Well, we should talk now about how I'm not gifted at the answers.
Here we go. Rolling out with Andrea in Texas. She says, Clark answered a question about charitable giving and again failed to mention the brand new 2026 charitable deduction for non-itemizers. There are some rules that apply, but basically, starting in 2026, non-itemizers can deduct up to $1,000, $2,000 for married couples filing jointly, for cash donations to public charities. This above-the-line deduction, introduced by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, allows taxpayers taking the standard deduction to also reduce their taxable income by the amount of their charitable cash contributions. Like Clark, I'm a big fan of charitable giving, and I'm looking forward to this extra deduction as part of my giving. And a few people wrote in about that.
Yeah, and thank you to you and everyone else who mentioned it, because most people do not itemize. Overwhelmingly, it's a small percent of people that itemize. And so people who don't itemize just basically lost out on charitable deductions. And now it's added in as kind of like a bonus under the revisions to the tax code. So thank you and all the others who mentioned it and brought it forward on the podcast.
Jim in California says, you shouldn't recommend using text as two-factor authentication. I was a victim of SIM swapping and had multiple incidents because my 2FAs were being intercepted. They also had access to my email.
So somebody was really determined to get after you, and that's why new methods of verification, like passkeys, which are my favorite, things that involve biometrics especially, are way preferable. And if you notice at more and more financial sites, they're trying to get you to migrate from using texting or a notice to your email as the two-factor because of exactly this problem, Jim, that happened to you, where your accounts were compromised and then criminals have what they need to try to steal your money. So when you see the option of using passkeys, which sounds more complicated than it actually is once you use them. Are you using passkeys?
Mm-hmm, I am.
Yeah, I use passkeys regularly now. It is a much better layer of security than what we've had in the past. And we're moving towards a day that the whole password thing is going to not be needed at a lot of sites because you'll be using biometrics instead of passwords as well.
Tim in Florida says, Clark stinks like the free lobster I won at Clam Bake and absentmindedly left in my trunk when I went on vacation for a week in August. That's really bad. That's very stinky. You've mentioned how companies constantly bother their customers with emails and marketing campaigns, but every time I open your newsletter, I am asked to subscribe to the newsletter I just opened. A small pop-up window appears every day. I'm already a subscriber. Leave me alone. I hope you can fix that. And the reason that happens is when people block their cookies. If you have cookies enabled with our site, then we know that you've come from there and are subscribed. So I'm sure a security precaution, a lot of people do block cookies, and so that automatically
so there's
happens.
no way we can prevent that because
I'm going to double check with our tech team, though, and just make sure there's no new solution we can do. And I'm sure somebody will write in and tell me I'm an idiot, and there's a really easy way to do that, but I'll find out.
Well, then we'll have that on Clark Stinks.
Okay, Mitch in Minnesota says, on the storage unit issue, you stink so much there isn't a comparable smell. There is no way I would deal with a terrible company like that, making me pay extra to move a similar unit to train me like a rat. That wouldn't happen. I would rather burn my stuff. I'm always disappointed when you bash bad business practices, but then bow down to them. If people keep allowing this behavior, not only does it continue, but it gets worse. That's why I won't own a newer car, play the credit card game, etc. P.S. I still love your show.
Okay, just in brief, what this is referring to is I was talking about how the storage unit business is all about luring you in with a cheap price. You move your stuff in or you rent a truck to move your stuff in, and then once your stuff's there, that teaser rate they gave you vanishes pretty quickly, and the rate goes up and up and up and up on a regular schedule. And this was in context of talking about how U-Haul is experimenting with having a fixed price. You move in and you don't have to worry about the price going up in short order.
Because it happened to you and you had to move.
Oh, yeah.
But
I moved. And so what we've got here is somebody saying, wait a minute, I was being the lab rat.
Right.
I was just trying to save money. I was willing to move. I've done it twice.
A few people also wrote in and said they were very shocked that you would pay for a storage unit and have
kidding.
one why do you have that much stuff? Do you want to address that or should I move on?
Marital harmony.
Well, that's a good reason.
This has been an ongoing conversation we just actually had a couple nights ago about our storage unit. I hate having a storage unit. You know what's funny is the same day I saw that, there was an item in, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, about how one of their writers had spent $100,000 over the years on storage units and realized that the stuff they were storing was never worth as much as it cost them for the storage unit.
Phill in Tennessee.
But what am I supposed to do?
No, marital harmony is important.
I do what my wife says.
There you go. I think that's smart. Phill in Tennessee says, Clark has a small odor here, but there's a Clark world and then there's the real world. Clark would take that used car you're about to buy to a mechanic for a full inspection before you buy it. In the real world, it takes a week to 10 days to even get into a shop around here because of the shortage of mechanics. I'm not sure who you're ever buying the car from is going to let you keep that vehicle for that long.
Well, you are so right. And the good thing is that something that grew out of a place people used to buy used cars a lot, eBay Motors, although I don't hear about them a lot anymore.
Yeah.
All these pop-up businesses started around the country where you could hire a vehicle inspector to check, and you want to make sure they know what they're doing, obviously. But their business is dealing with the clock, you know, how you're on a short timeline to make sure a vehicle is okay. But Phill brings up another very valid point that we talked about months ago about jobs, that auto mechanics the average age of an auto mechanic is way older than the average American. And automobile companies have a really hard time getting young people to consider becoming auto mechanics. And there's an enormous need. If you have a family member who's looking for a career and enjoys that, it would pay well. And let me tell you, you're needed.
Linda in Virginia wrote in with this one. I know you often recommend good 529 plans. While I don't think that advice or use stinks, I have a warning that I think you should include for listeners. Our son's 25. Since both his dad and I have postgraduate degrees, we thought he would go to college, and a 529 was started for him. However, without ever attending college, he now has a very good paying job as an IT administrator.
Great.
He has no plans to attend school and is the beneficiary of a large 529 plan, as it has grown amazingly well over the years. So we thought it'd be great for him to transfer the allowable amount to his Roth IRA. But here's the catch. When he wanted to begin rolling over some of the funds, our accountant said he could not. When he turned 21, we changed the owner of the 529 from his dad to our son, and the 529 fund automatically opened a new account, so the 15-year window began again, and he can't put anything into a Roth for many years. So he can't take advantage of transferring a portion of the 529 to grow tax-free in the Roth. Please warn your listeners about this. We should have left his dad as the owner and our son as the beneficiary.
Thank you so much for pointing that out, because every time you change designations in a 529, the clock does reset to zero. Now, here's the good news. What your son should do is set the investments in the 529 as if he's a young kid who's not going to enter college for another 15 years. And that way, in the age-based portfolio, it will go back to a good mix of investments that are very heavily stock-oriented. The money will continue to grow tax-free over these years, mimicking what you'd be doing in a Roth IRA anyway, and then 15 years on, transfer the money year by year to get it into the Roth IRA tax-free, with continued tax-free growth and tax-free spending in retirement.
Tony in Nevada says,
Nevada, yes.
The stench was as bad as that stinky French cheese, Clark. A listener inquired recently about the New Orleans game in Paris, flying via Milan. For a deal, the flyers should also check out EasyJet and Ryanair. I saved a lot on that route flying on EasyJet. Don't limit yourself to those expensive code share agreements.
Thank you, Tony. And having flown Ryanair many times and not been abused yet, in spite of all the stories about Ryanair, yes, Europe has a very vibrant, successful, deep discount airline industry, and they are huge. I mean, Ryanair is now one of the world's largest airlines. And so getting to and from Europe on a regular full-fare airline and then flying within Europe on a deep discounter is a great idea to save money, but watch some of the YouTube videos on how you fly on Ryanair or EasyJet to avoid having rip-offs that just tear your wallet apart.
Gretchen in Washington says, I love you, Clark, but please tell your listeners about the downside of donor-advised funds. They do not have to donate to the charity you nominate. They are called donor-advised funds because you can only advise them to which charity to choose. According to the Wall Street Journal, no one has ever won a lawsuit against any funds. They can't, because when you set it up, you give control of the money. This is the price you pay for the tax deduction. Far better to just donate the money directly to your charity of choice. You can then carry over any unused credits for 5 years and avoid the fee the fund charges, so more of your money goes to the charity of your choice. They have refused to donate to certain charities and instead give your money to charities they approve of.
Okay, so donor-advised funds are a very, very fast-growing part of charitable giving. Charities don't like them because money that would have gone to them sooner sits in the DAF, the Donor Advised Fund, for a good period of time. If you do your Donor Advised Fund with one of the big outfits like the operations from my three favorite children, Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab, they are not likely to restrict who your donations go to as long as it is and must be a charitable organization. And I gave money recently from one of our donor-advised funds to a children's hospital, and they did not approve it right away. And they put it into suspension and said they were going to research it. So they want to make sure that before they donate, that it is a bona fide charity. Obviously, nonprofit Children's Hospital is, but they did put that one on hold. As far as DAFs refusing to make donations, it is a very rare occurrence that happens, and usually it'll be an organization that in some way is looked at as a political nonprofit instead of a charitable nonprofit.
And I'm going to end with this one, this gem of a Clark Stinks from Suzanne in Wisconsin. It's not a Clark Stinks, but he'll probably think I stink with this. Clark's great financial advice helped me retire early from marketing, and now I have the best fun job in the world, teaching personal finance part-time. Instead of desks, I have my students sit around tables. To differentiate the tables, I have named one Bogle, one Buffett, one Lunch, and one Howard. Maybe next year I can rename the table Clark instead of Howard. Thank you, Clark and team, for all the rich content.
Thank you. I love that you are teaching personal finance. Do we need it so badly? Things are so much more complicated than they used to be. How you make decisions, and a lot of that is for the good. It's more free market than we used to have. But then a lot of other things are gotchas. And people really need to have a base understanding of personal finance to not get burned. You know, a lot of people will say, I wish I'd known this 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. So what you're doing is a wonderful thing, and I appreciate it so much. And I'm glad that more and more kids to graduate from high school have to complete personal finance curricula. And they vary in quality, obviously, but I think it's great that we're realizing that we're handicapping people when they come into adulthood and don't understand the basics of money. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for your posts on Clark Stinks. If you're a first-timer watching our YouTube show or listening to our podcast, and you're like, wow, this is a weird segment. This is the most important thing I think that we've done for the last 25 years, is it's a way of opening up the microphone, essentially, so that things that I missed, things I got wrong, things that I should have addressed are brought forward. And I'm not always going to agree with every post, but they're so valuable. And I'm grateful to you that you post these. And I appreciate you being part of Team Clark, spreading knowledge and useful information to your fellow listener and viewer. Coming up ahead, I got to talk about a freight train coming down the tracks, and it ain't your friend. It's what, another travel analogy.
Yeah.
It's what the airlines are doing to your wallet right now and how you're going to fight back. Airfares are going crazy, and airlines are facing unbelievable increased costs. Individual airlines facing potentially billions of dollars of additional expense because of the cost of jet fuel. And airlines canceling flights by the thousands. And the airlines, frightened by what's happening to their costs from jet fuel, have been doing everything they can to get more money out of your and my wallet. Airfares were already trending higher from comparing this year to last year because demand had been really strong. And now I saw that United, in a briefing for financial analysts, said that their intention is to raise airfares 20% from here, 20%, to deal with the cost of jet fuel. Now, you and I get a vote here. Airlines may think that they control what we're going to pay, but actually it is a continuing negotiation between you and me and the big airline, small airline, or in between. So the airlines are going to do everything they can to get more money out of us. I mean, witness the new baggage fees. The airlines have raised baggage fees to the point that checking one bag one way is more than what I paid for my last suitcase. Because I paid $39 for a suitcase recently when my suitcase died when I was on a trip. And I bought a suitcase at Walmart to get home with for $39. It was on clearance. And to check a bag starts with most airlines now at $45. And then it goes up from there. So one question I have for you. When fuel goes back down in cost, jet fuel, do you think the airlines are going to lower their baggage fees at that time? Oh, man, that was cynical. Anyway, the reason they say they're raising the baggage fees is because of the fuel, and bags cost money for fuel, but certainly not $45 a bag on a trip. JetBlue is doing something even more diabolical. JetBlue is charging based on dynamic demand for bags, meaning that when travel is peaking, the baggage fee will be higher. When travel is softer, the baggage fee will be lower. Tell me how that could be related to fuel. But anyway, the cost of tickets higher, and it's clear. But there's still things you can do. Number one is don't. A number of people will shop around for a trip they were thinking of taking. They'll see what the prices are, and they're not going to go. And that's a big power. That's a huge power you and I have, that we can choose to be bribed into that seat. What do I mean by that? When the price is where you and I are willing to pay, you buy. Now, big mistake is being hyper loyal to a single airline. I shop around every ticket I buy. I shop one way. I shop round trip. I see what's going to be my best way of getting to and from. And because I shop one way, it's very rare that I go somewhere on the same airline I fly back on. That if there's a much cheaper deal, which sometimes there will be, most times not, for buying a round trip from a particular airline versus a one-way, I find I save quite a bit by being a free agent every time. So my airfare search never starts at an airline's own site. And I love using Google Flights. A lot of people really love Hopper. There may be other tools you like. And so when you know you're taking a trip, or you're considering taking a trip, and it's to a specific place, maybe in a specific time period, the more you shop different airlines and different days of the week going and returning, the more your price comes down. So that's number one. Number two, a lot of people, travel is very, very discretionary. And if you will follow my forever rule, which is buy the deal and then figure out why you want to go there, there will still be sale fares. There will still be places that bookings are soft, or times that bookings are soft, or a place that is something the particular airline is having trouble getting market share on a route, and they're offering deals there, and you grab that deal. So what's called for now is enormous flexibility, and for you to consider the death penalty of a trip, which is, I really wanted to go there, but it's too much. I'm not going. That's the power, the ultimate power you and I have, is to say, you want that much? You got to be kidding. I'm going to do something else with that vacation.
All right.
You know, I mean, that how much of my travel is like, oh, there's a deal there. Mm-hmm. I'm going. I mean, that's that's always been my mentality.
Yeah. Find the deal and then decide why you want to go there, right?
A couple of times it's not worked.
Okay.
I got somewhere and it's like, oh, that was not my best idea to go there.
Winter and, somewhere super cold or something.
Think about January, during the coldest January ever in Prague in the Czech Republic. Remember that?
That was a staff trip. You know why I don't remember that? Because I was on maternity leave and didn't go on that trip.
Oh.
And when I was so bummed. And then I wasn't because I had a baby, but still, I saw the pictures of you all and you couldn't even see your eyes because you were all so bundled up and it was brutal.
I remember walking, for those of you who've been to Prague, I remember walking the old bridge and it was 6 below zero and the wind was going crazy. And I get across the bridge and I don't even remember what I was going to see across the bridge. And I'm just across the bridge, and there's a McDonald's.
Oh, wow. An oasis for you.
Huh?
An oasis
so
for you.
So I go into the McDonald's, and it's silent. People are sitting, like at every table. Nobody's eating. They're just hunched over.
Just unfurling their hands because they're so
escaping
cold.
the cold. And, I don't do cold well.
No.
It was a real deal.
Yeah.
To Prague.
I mean, what a deal. Hey. All right. We'll go to some questions for you. This first one has to do with travel. Jeffrey in Alaska says, Clark, I know how much you hate to check bags. Me too. Today, I have a lot of stuff. I've relented to self-tagging and bag dragging my stuff to the baggage drop counter. My question is, during my advanced booking, I get questions about how many bags that I'm going to check and whether they're oversized. What advantage does the airline have with this advanced information when otherwise I can check in at the airport last minute, do this nuisance myself? I'm in their loyalty program and I get 2 free checked bags with no charge anyway. Do I get some pat on the back?
Okay. All right. So when you do select up front, they're going to check bags and you go to the terminal and you pop in your frequent flyer number or your record locator for your trip, it knows already that you're checking 2 bags and prints out the tags. It speeds things up when you put it in there. But the big one there is wanting to know if you have something oversized, because with these increases, I forget which airline did, but they went to $250 charge for an oversized bag.
Wow.
Yeah. That's some serious money.
Oh my gosh.
The airlines make all kinds of extra bank on the oversized bags, and so they want to get you voluntarily up front to cough up all that money for them. And by the way, you get 2 free checked bags by being, some status with the airline loyalty program. And I've noticed all the lowest tier credit cards tied in with the airlines that are the $100 a year cards, pretty much universally are 1 free checked bag. And so with the new baggage fees, if you take 2 round trips a year and you like to check bags, or you take people with you, everybody on your reservation gets a free bag, it's worth the $100 fee for the card just to get the free bags.
Becky in Ohio says, we'll be traveling to South Africa in June to take part in a safari for 1 week. How awesome is that? Should we consider subscribing to a VPN for that time? We have traveled in the U.S., but it's our first time making such a big trip. We want to make sure we're safe.
That was another staff trip.
Yes, that was the best trip of my life.
Going to a reserve was, what an incredible experience that is. So VPN. All right. So first of all, I'm going to tell you why so many people taking an international trip get a VPN, because they're sports nuts and they want to be able to pretend they're in the U.S. to be able to watch sports with digital rights allowed. When you're outside the United States, you usually can't listen to your music, can't watch anything that's U.S. originating content. In your streaming services you can't watch because digital rights work. So that's the number one reason I'm aware of people have a VPN on their phones when they travel internationally. But the advantage of a VPN is obviously having a virtual private network is the privacy aspect of the data you have. A VPN is not a fail-safe. VPNs vary in quality, and cheap guy's going to tell you something There are a lot of free VPNs out there. I actually believe you pay for one. I pay for one. There's too much funny stuff that goes on with a lot of the free VPNs. But as far as a security precaution, VPN by itself does not make your devices secure. It makes information you're transmitting more private. So a VPN, unless you're interested in US-based content while you're overseas, the reason to have a VPN is the same at home as it is overseas, which is private transmission of information.
Randy in Virginia says, with all the walking Clark does he have a favorite brand of walking shoe?
Should I take my shoe off and show it?
Sure.
For the YouTubers. So I wear the Hoka, and I buy these. They're so expensive. Hokas are ridiculously expensive. It's like they think I'm buying the whole factory.
I'm shocked at what that's like a light gray or white. Like you usually have very bright colors.
All right, so let me tell you how I end up with the colors I do. This is an Arahi 7, which is a discontinued shoe.
Oh.
So what happens is if you buy a discontinued Hoka and you buy the color that nobody wants, which for those of you listening, it's, what do you call it?
It's a light gray, I'd say. Beige,
colorblind.
gray, yeah.
I can't, it just looks
Your
white
last
to
ones
me.
were like orange, I think.
Yeah, well, they were the bargain.
Right.
shoe. So I buy whatever the deal is, and I buy the last version always. And I went to a Hoka store where they had a device. This was in London, and it told me which Hokas were best for the shape of my feet.
Oh.
And it was this one and another one called the Bondi or
The Bondi, yeah. Did you
I
actually?
didn't like the Bondi.
Did you buy Hokas at that store? Or did you just,
No, I did
knew
not.
You wouldn't.
Are you kidding?
All right. I knew this was going to be your answer. So after you answered Randy's question.
What an insult you just threw my way.
Stephen wrote this one to you. Stephen in California. I'm about to buy Hoka shoes online when I saw that I could save money if I identify myself as a healthcare provider via verifywithid.me. I happily filled out my information to help this app verify that I'm a nurse. Full name, address, birthday, and social security number? Yeah. No. I immediately stopped. I did not give out my social security number. Should I? Is verifywithid.me legitimate? Who else will have my social security number if I provide this information? I don't know how much of a discount I would have received since I didn't continue verification. The retail shoe price is $180.
Wow.
With no tax and shipping.
Wow, these were $90, which was killer for me to spend that much.
I really, really like the shoe and brand, but providing my social might be a deal breaker. Any thoughts? Love you all.
Okay.
We love you too.
So Stephen, what happens is ID.me is legit. The feds use it to verify you for a lot of services. Guess what the feds are asking for? Same thing. Your social security number. A lot of employer databases operate off of your social security number. ID.me is best anything can be a very secure site. There's always a risk sharing your social security number, and it's supposed to be for a legitimate business purpose, which this would be considered to be since it generates a discount for you. But I would tell you that if you want to buy Hokas, you want to shop around more. You'll probably get more of a discount looking like last version like I do of the particular Hoka you're interested in, or picking an ugly color. I've had some that make me look like I'm one big clown car wearing my shoes. I don't care. I just want to be comfortable. So if you're freaked out about giving your social security number and that feels unsafe to you, don't give it, but just do a better job shopping around for a better deal on those Hokas. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast, YouTube show. Hope you have wonderful plans ahead for the weekend. And if you've been really sedentary lately, well, take a message from Stephen and Randy with the walking questions and get out there and walk some. I walk less than I used to. I was walking 9 miles a day. Now I average 7 miles a day. And why did I go from 9 to 7? Because going 9 miles a day, and I was doing some walking and running, I still do that at 7, but mostly walking, is I was starting to have more joint issues from going 9 miles a day. And so too much of a good thing became a bad thing for me. So I've stepped back to an average of 7 miles a day. And that seems to be working for me. So go do something, enjoy yourself, and be careful with your money. And know we serve you all weekend long at Clark.com and ClarkDeals.com to help you stretch every dollar. Everything we do is about your empowerment with knowledge so you can save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off.